there are some real heartbreaking moments at the start of the series. I haven't seen the whole thing yet, but it's amazing how well told the story is. But at the same time, it also feels like a superhero origin story in a great way. What was it like pulling off Harriet's like vulnerable side, her funny side? She's a little bit awkward, she's honest. How did you get into that kind of spirit?
I think Harriet is such a fun character to play. Like, I had so much fun exploring everything you just said. I think we're very similar in a lot of ways as well. Like, I think I'd describe myself as overly emotional. I sort of wear my heart on my sleeve in the same way that Harriet does. It was so much fun getting to play that humor. She has a great sense of humor and that bubbly nature that she has. Yeah, I think we're very, very similar. So it came quite naturally, and she's just so much fun.
You know, obviously the book by Holly Smale is huge. Did you get a chance to talk to her about the character, or what was that interaction like?
Holly was very, very involved in the entire creative process from day one of development. So when I stepped onto this, she was already deep in prep and made herself very known, which was lovely. It meant that I felt very supported by her. And I am a huge fan of the books and therefore also Holly Smale. And it was a proper pinch me moment when I remember she messaged me and I freaked out and got so excited. But we spoke a lot about Harriet and she sort of just advised me to trust myself because, as I said, big fan of the books. And so my version of Harriet, I feel, is very, very close to book Harriet. Of course, I put my own spin on it in some way, shape, or form, as actors do. But what you're seeing on screen is very similar to how she comes across in the book.
What was your favorite part of getting to dive into this story? Because you have these amazing dramatic moments as an actor, but you also have these amazing fashion moments and this amazing cast. Was there something that stood out for you?
It's so hard to say because I had the best experience on this job. I will say the read through stands out, and reason being because it was seeing everyone in the same place, and also, as I said, big fan of the books, and it was like the books coming to life. I think it's a very, very well cast show. Everyone is just spectacular and so good for the roles that they've been given. And so that's definitely a standout moment. And then, of course, the other standout moment was when I had my hair partially dyed and tried on the wig for the first time. And that's because, of course, it's Harriet's iconic red hair. I think that's when it all came together for me.
What can fans expect from this season, journeying through, this story and her story and this fashion world?
They can expect fun romance. It's chaotic at times. You know, what I love about Harriet is that she's a flawed human being. She's very real. She's very truthful to what it is to be 16. She makes mistakes and people get mad at her, but everything's okay in the end. I think our show is just, it's fun and it's joyous and hopefully spreads some positivity and makes people smile whilst also keeping them engaged. So I think that's what people can expect from the show. It's at its core, it's a journey of self-love and self-acceptance.
Well, I think you touch on basically my next question, which is what do you hope that people take away from the series? Because it touches on bullying, it touches on, finding yourself and so many other things. What was important to you there for hopefully fans to take away?
I hope that people feel seen within this show and within these characters, not just Harriet, but I feel like everyone has a very well developed arc throughout the show. The ensemble cast is so strong, and those more subplots are just as important as this through line. And so I think there's lots of people that will see themselves within these characters and hopefully feel validated and find some confidence through our show. And not just young people, but anyone of any age. Harriet says at the beginning of the first episode, this is a story for anyone who's ever felt like they don't fit in. And I'm assuming that's most of us, which is so true. Everyone's experienced that horrible feeling at some point in their life. And so I hope that people feel validated and seen by our show and represented in some way, shape, or form. And I hope that they can take away some light and some joy.
Well, and it is funny to me that, of course, this is a great show for kids, teens, that whole thing. But at the same time, everyone has been a teenager in their life. I've always felt like there are so many shows like this that speak to a much larger audience. It's not just necessarily for kids.
Yeah, so true. And I think our show very much rings true with that. Like it's interesting, something that Holly Smale said in an interview the other day. She said people assume that kids don't want to watch parents on the screen, or they don't write about parents because they assume that that's what kids don't want to see. But I think the beating heart of this show is Harriet and her parents and the relationship between the Manners family, which I think especially grown-ups as such, or people watching with their kids, will really enjoy seeing on screen.
It's fantastic. Well, I guess the last thing I'd like to know is working on a show like this, do you get to geek out over the fashion side of this? Because obviously that plays a huge role here.
100%. Are you joking? Like, I was geeking out trying those costumes on in the fittings, wearing vintage archive genre stuff. Like, it doesn't get much cooler than that. And I'll be honest, I've never really, fashion hasn't been my thing at all. But as an actor, you sort of have to dip your toe in that pond sometimes. And I've dabbled, but this was where it kind of clicked for me, I think. And I went on that journey with Harriet, sort of understanding what fashion is and what it means. And so I definitely was geeking out.
And it's funny because I mean I'm not a fashion person either, but I know enough, to get by, I guess. And this show really captures a unique spirit of fashion. Like it's not your grandparents' fashion. It's not too cutting edge, but it's so cool. Like the fashion here is way cooler than I think maybe you even expect.
Yeah, 100%. That's really nice to hear as well.
It's very cool. Thank you so much for the time. Really a pleasure chatting. The show is fantastic. I can't wait to see the rest. I assume you'd be excited if there's more seasons ahead.
Of course. I mean, it would be a pleasure to visit Harriet again, but as of right now, it's all up in the air. I just hope people watch it.
My fingers are crossed. There needs to be a second season.
Oh, thank you so much. That means a lot.